Dear students, today we are going to study our supplementary reader textbook, first chapter named The Passive Voice. This story is written by Poile Sengupta, is famous for her witty stories and plays for children and adults. She taught in schools and colleges before taking up writing her passion full time. Many of her stories are about the funny experiences she had as a teacher. Roll Call is one of her well loved books for children. In the story Passive Voice, we can see the main characters are a brother and a sister. Other characters also there in the story, that is mother, Gia, Pia, and Nick. Dear students, in your home also maybe you have younger brother and younger sister. Sometimes they will irritate you. Just imagine your younger brother and younger sister are more brilliant than you. What may be the situation? You may be very much irritated. So let's know a story about a boy and a sister. Let's begin. The passive voice. I did not like the school my parents chose for my sister. They should have sent her to my school, where I could have kept a watch on her and made sure she behaved properly. Actually, here he is saying a complaint about his younger sister, isn't it? What is the problem? For him, she is not behaving properly. Instead, she was sent to what my mother calls a progressive school. Progressive school means supporting new or modern ideas, maybe more than bookish knowledge, some other knowledge they will share in the school. Maybe in that school, active speakers may be students itself. This meant my sister thought she knew more about everything than I did and pestered me about stuff I did not care about, especially English grammar stuff. So, actually, she is always annoying or irritating brother because of English grammar stuff. The area which author didn't like is what? English grammar stuff. So from this paragraph itself, we can see that the boy is elder and the sister is younger. A few days ago, she asked me, "Do you know about question tags?" I almost choked on my milk, which is not difficult to do because I hate milk. When they are drinking milk, younger sister asked a question to whom? Elder brother, "Do you know question tag?" The situation is very much worse, isn't it? Because now he is irritated with the behavior and conversation of whom? Younger sister, at the same time that milk also he don't like. Anyway, before I could say anything, she went on. Question tags are little questions that are added to a sentence, like a tale. For example, here she assumed the heirs of grammar teacher behaved like a grammar teacher. Okay, let's see what is that. You make a funny face when you drink milk, don't you? Or I am very intelligent, aren't I? Now, these little question tags or question don't you and aren't I are called question tags. I said quickly, that's your friend calling you to play, isn't it? So, all this conversation proves that younger sister is very much brilliant. By irritating, she says what is question tag and with the examples. You have given a good example, she said, but your voice should come down, not go up. Only when you ask a real question should your voice go up at the end. For example, I have finished my meal, don't you? Or didn't you? I said, swallowing the last horrible bit. I have gone out, may they? I cannot hear you, aren't I? I thought going crazy with those stupid question tags would stop my sister. The question tags that boy made is completely wrong. He wanted to irritate with the question tags. That's why he said wrong questions here. Moving on, later in the evening, my mother told me I had been very rude. Your sister is, after all, 5 years younger than you. She said, if she shows off a little, so what? You used to do it too at that age. I remember once. I have a lot of homework to finish, ma, I said hurriedly, and I will try and remember that she is 5 years younger than me, not 60 years older. Do you think our speaker has homework to finish? No, not at all. He wanted to escape from that situation. That's why he said a name homework. And he says one more thing. Sister is 5 years younger than me, not 60 years older. My mother gave me a glare, a harsh look, but left me on my unfinished homework. The next evening, my sister started off on the passive voice. That day it was question tag, now moving on passive voice. Do you know, she said, that the passive voice is used when we are not sure who has done the action, or when it is not important to know who has done the action. For example, she raised her very active voice as if she was in a huge classroom talking to 700 students. If mom calls from the next room and asks, have you two finished? Can you always say, the milk has been drunk? Not the, sorry, not that you are not lying because I have finished my milk. See, you have used the passive voice. Just then my mother did call out from the next room, have you both finished your milk? My sister said, I have finished my milk and now I am going to out to play. Moving on, and as she went past my chair, she whispered, I am using the active voice now. In this example, it is very important to know who has done the action. Here we can see not only did she define the passive voice to him, but she also gave him a relevant example. And more than that, we can see since the passive voice does not focus on who performs the action, she used the active voice to make sure that her mother knew that it was she who drank her milk and not her brother. Because of that, our boy said and called her sister as a traitor. Traitor means here cheater. And as she went past my chair, she whispered, I am using the active voice now. In this example, it is very important, not very, it is very important to know who has done the action. Traitor, I hissed. But what was the use? She wasn't there, didn't she? And she is 5 years younger than me, aren't I? The next day, a strange thing happened at school. We had our grammar period, and guess what we are doing? The passive voice. Yes, the very same inactive passive voice. We were revising the lesson because we had learned it many years ago. It was terribly boring and much worse sitting next to me on the bench was Gia, who is even bossier than my sister, if that is possible. Bossier means more bossy, that means always telling people what to do in an annoying way. So here Gia is also smarter, isn't it? Every time the teacher asked a question, Gia flung her arm up to answer and almost knocked me down with her two huge thick plates. Hair plates means hair plates itself. She never gave anyone else a chance and she always got the right answer. In between, she whispered loudly to her friend Pia sitting next to her, saying things like boys are fools and do not know anything except playing the fool. Playing the fool means behaving in a silly way. After this went on for almost half the period, I got really mad. Every 2 minutes, I felt those thick ropes of hair slicing off bits on my ear nearest to her. Here we can see Gia's plaits are described as thick ropes of hair. as her hair is thick and long and plaited to resemble a rope. So Pia's plaits, shorter and thinner, would tickle Nick's nose. Nick sat right behind Pia. Gia and Pia, a fine pair. It took only one glance at Nick's and some clever acrobatics to do what had to be done. Then Nix and I sat back and looked innocent grammarian look. So it was English period teaching what active and passive voice. During that time they are bored, so they want to create a fun. So that's why they tied their hair. Whose hair? That Pia's and Gia's hair tied by Nick. Actually, they made a silent conversation. Who made the silent conversation? That boy, our hero boy, isn't it? Boy and Nick. At the same time, we can see here the speaker and his friend have done something naughty and they are trying to look innocent and very interested in the grammar lesson going on. At the next question, when Gia jumped up to the answer, there was a loud, long scream from Pia as her plate followed Gia's plate and the top of her head crashed into Gia's jaw. By the time their screaming stopped and the two plates were disentangled. Disentangled means knots were removed from the things which had become twisted. It was almost time for the next period, but our English grammar teacher said that she had to get to the bottom of this before she left the class. She asked Nix and me to stand up. So teacher has doubt. Teacher is your judges, isn't it? Maybe in your class you may create some naughty things, so teachers may judge, isn't it? So let's see what's happened here. What is your explanation? She asked. Nix looked sideways at me and then down. I looked sideways at him and was also about to look down when I suddenly remembered my annoying sister. And in my best passive voice, I said, Ma'am, the two plates were discovered to have been tied together. It was an unfortunate incident and has to be thoroughly investigated. Any information that leads to the identity of the culprits will be welcomed and kept confidential. The bell clanged just as I finished. So here we can see the smartness of our brother, isn't it? That boy said that all the things in passive voice. Does it tell you what the doer the action is? No, it doesn't tell us who the doer of the action is. I still don't know why the teacher said nothing for a minute and then smiled and left the class. Maybe she was in a hurry to get to her next class. Maybe she too had got tired of Gia's voice, but I think she was really impressed by my knowledge of the passive voice and the fine examples I had given. So in this story, many humorous area we can see the school episode, isn't it? And the home episodes with whom? Sister and brother. And more than that, from the viewpoint of the first person narrator, the entire story is written. And in another viewpoint, we can say that the narrator has kept the best to the last, isn't it? He had previously described himself as a poor student, disinterested in grammar, only to show himself here as a brilliant student with a perfect command over English. So this is generally what is happening in the school and class, isn't it? What is that situation in which the boys tease the girls and get themselves into trouble? I hope you enjoyed the story.